Today we have a young entrepreneur who turned his skills and discipline he got from the military to turn it into a successful real estate investment business. My next guest, Trevor West on the WTRE show, coming up.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and to reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now, your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome back to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke, and today we have Trevor West. Trevor is a multifamily real estate investor and CEO of Hive Community Investments. Trevor, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And how you doing, my friend?
Doing very good. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity. You know, on your intro, you had some pretty big hitters on there. So I hope I can provide some value and definitely happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm also grateful for you to be on the show as well. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of really good thought leaders, a lot of big time investors to kind of learn the nuggets of how to become successful, and you as well coming on. I like your background, military, young entrepreneur, doing a lot of big things. So look forward to kind of digging in to learn more about you and to add some more value to our audience. But before we kick things off, can you kind of talk about your start, your background, and how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. So background, you hit on it already. Being an Air Force member, I was an intelligence analyst. That was my trade. So primarily, one of the biggest things that I did there was, we would target whether it's a location or individuals that were, doing bad things. So, near the end of my time there, I definitely took a lot of the skills that I learned as an intelligence analyst and transferred them over to being a real estate investor. And those ultimately paid huge dividends for me. But kind of getting my start into real estate specifically, I've told this story many times. It's just, I was a young, in my early 20s, living with the boys, we were having a good time. I lived with three of my really good friends, and I was also on the rugby team. And at the time, just kind of living paycheck to paycheck, not really worried about the future because I had a good, steady paying job. I was surrounded by, people that I enjoyed being around. And then I broke my leg during a rugby match. And, that set me down. That put me on the couch for, a few months. And, being a very extroverted person, I never had really invested any time in myself. So after just kind of being on the couch for, a month by myself, because at the time all my roommates were either on long trips or deployments. So it was really the first time that I was alone with my thoughts. And something switched in my brain where I really started to focus on where am I going? What does my future even look like? I have no idea. Do I want to be in the military for 20 years? Do I want to get out? I always said I wanted to start a business, but never put any thought towards that. So I really focused on the next step was what I've always learned is I need to get my education. If I want to be successful, I need to go and get a bachelor's degree. So that was the first step for me. I went and took a math class, immediately realized I hate this. So I didn't even finish that math class. I was like, I'm going to get the hardest thing out of the way. I realized it doesn't matter. This is not for me. I can create my own success some other way. And the first step in my mind was, learning about finances, increasing my financial IQ. And I started reading very, very simple books, but extremely powerful, like The Richest Man in Babylon. I mean, completely shifted the way that I thought about what am I doing with the money that's currently coming in? Is it going out immediately? Am I saving at all? Which at the time I wasn't. And that put me on the right path. So I started to learn more about that. And then, for many of us real estate investors or just people who are started a business or just started putting their money in assets, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which, a light came on as, real estate is what I can do. I don't need a bachelor's degree. I don't need a boss. I don't need anybody telling me what to do with my time. And I immediately see the results of what I'm doing, which is kind of taking a page out of the book of when I was in the Air Force. You know, when you are in a deployed location, that's when you really make your money, right? Because you're immediately seeing the results of the work that you're putting in. And that's what real estate provided for me, or at least, you know, when I started educating myself. So from there, once I realized, you know what, real estate is something I could really, you know, sink my teeth into, started educating myself. I took a real estate investing course from the local community college, and then I found my niche. I realized, you know, I want to invest in multifamily properties, multiple streams of income, and kind of that economies of scale. So 4 months after that, I went and I purchased my first multifamily property. Of course, being in the military, I was able to utilize my VA loan. So I bought a 3-unit property, which turned out to be a huge success, and really just, you know, that one property that just lets you know that it's real. And that's kind of how I got my start.
Yeah, I really love that story. And then, like I said, I've interviewed many military investors, you know, turned real estate investors, and they have like that same approach where like the skills and training that you get from there, the discipline, and then you have a problem, you get to resolve it. So you knew that you had to fix your education, you know, your financial habits, and then take it to the next level of finding the technical skills in order to achieve that job. So I always love kind of hearing how, you know, it's like the same process of success. And of course, you going into your first investment, learning from A to Z how it works and how I can be able to scale it, which then comes to you creating, you know, your Hive community investments. So are you looking at kind of the same type of 2 to 3 type units? Or are you guys looking at larger stuff? What's kind of like your goals, you know, heading into the future?
Yeah, definitely. Just to kind of frame this, it's always think big. You know, I think a lot of us struggle with, you know, self-limiting beliefs, and that is not something that I'm going to let hold us back. So over the last year, scaling from 0 to 14 units, I did end up partnering halfway through the year with a friend of mine, and now my partner. We started buying, you know, properties together. We scaled to 8 units together, and that's how we started to see, hey, we can go a lot further together. And we, you know, setting goals is extremely important. And when we first started, our goal was, hey, we want to do 100 doors between 2 and 4 unit properties over the next 3 years. You know, setting some very specific criteria of cash flowing $200 per door, which in 3 years, 100 doors would give us $20,000 total passive income that we would, of course, split 50-50, 10 for him and 10 for me. And that's still kind of the idea behind it in terms of cash flow. So we are transitioning to bigger deals. And the reason for that is because economies of scale. You know, instead of doing, you know, 100 doors mixed up between a number of duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, you know, we could knock down a 20 to 60 unit building, really get our feet wet with that, and then continue to pursue 75 plus and 100 plus. So that's kind of the way that I see the transition moving, is 20 to 60 units and then 75 units. And then we'll be looking at 100 plus doors for our future acquisitions.
Awesome plan. Awesome plan. Yeah, because definitely, like I said, you guys are going to be able to, through as you start scaling up, you know, build your industry contacts with, you know, brokers and lenders, and then have different, you know, network out there where they'll be able to bring you deals and potential investors and things like that, so it can, you know, be able to scale in that trajectory. And as far as kind of your target market, where you guys are located, and you kind of tell us about kind of the leg of the lamb locally, how you guys are doing there on investment standpoint.
Absolutely. So we're located in central North Carolina in a city called Fayetteville.
Oh, nice.
What's special about Fayetteville is Fort Bragg Army installation, which is the largest Army installation on the continental United States. So it's a great place to be in terms of a steady market. And that's where we got our start in buying small multifamily properties, because, you know, especially with everything going on COVID wise, and, you know, just looking for that stability, but also being able to be in a strong cash flowing market is perfect for us. And I always say, like, it's cash flow over appreciation always. If you can always bet on cash flow. I can run the numbers on cash flow, but I can't run the numbers on appreciation, because the market could turn a year from now, it could turn 5 years from now, and not being able to see into the future. I'd like to be able to put my money where I can see what the end result is most likely going to be. And Fayetteville's a great place for that. Now, it is becoming very, very hot market here in Fayetteville. A lot of people, I think Forbes actually named Fayetteville the #2 spot to invest in cash flowing properties in the nation. So, there's a lot of outside money coming into Fayetteville right now. California, New York, New Jersey, and I'm a real estate agent too. And I exclusively work with investors. So I can kind of see this firsthand as the number of investors with, a lot of money start pouring it into our market. That of course causes the prices to increase as the competition also increases. But that's not to say that there aren't good deals out there. I don't care what markets you're in. You can always find deals as long as you keep a steady pressure on looking for those deals. So right now we're just in the process of building out relationships with brokers, building out relationships with people who have access to properties, and of course, searching for our own properties. When I first got started in multifamily investing, of course, listening to Bigger Pockets, they always say, tell everyone you're an investor. Tell everyone you're an investor. So that's what I did. I'm a multifamily investor. I buy multifamily. I buy multifamily. And now I'm switching that even more so to I buy apartments. I buy apartment buildings, whether that's me talking to somebody else or just talking to myself and kind of cementing that thought. As I mentioned before, those self-limiting beliefs, it's cementing that thought into my brain as we're going to move forward and we're going to take action on this. So, right now we're just analyzing deals, and we take the approach of trying to kill the deal. If the deal if we can kill it, then move on to the next one. But if we're having a really hard time killing the deal, then it's probably worth pursuing.
Yeah, I really love that. And one big thing that you keep saying is the self-limiting beliefs, which is the number one crucial thing, because you was able to kind of solve the problem of the technical skills, through, learning through different resources, getting it at the local college or learning from Bigger Pockets or other educational outlets. So it's really about that. So can you kind of talk about other young people that's coming in, that's just like they listen to this podcast and like really pumped up and they want to do, what you're trying to do, scale up, get into real estate, or just kind of get their first property. Can you kind of also add on to the self-limiting beliefs, other things that you can kind of advise people to think about in order to be successful in this business?
Absolutely. I think Jim Rohn said it, your level of success will never exceed your level of personal development. I have really taken that on as something that I can just, no matter what, if I'm working on myself, I will be able to push the ball forward. And I think that comes with, of course, education. If you don't know what you're looking at, you'll never be able to take, you'll never see an opportunity if you're not educated on what the right opportunity looks like. So get out there, listening to podcasts, great start, reading books. That class really set a strong foundation for my future. And, kind of going to those self-limiting beliefs, I just keep telling myself, why not me? Whether it's Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, or, someone who's lower than that, but why not me? What makes them different than me? I think what's really important is, especially, when I had this mindset shift, I of course wanted to bring my boys with me and my gals with me. Like, hey, this is a different side of life. This is a different side of thinking, but it's really, really challenging because we just taught that this, you work, you trade time for money, and that's what it is. You go to work and you get a paycheck and you save and you buy a house and you have kids and you buy the car. It's really challenging to break people out of that mindset when even, I tell them one thing and they call their parents to see, hey, is this something that, you've ever learned about or something? And they say, no, that's not the way. So it almost reinforces the same standard that everyone's been doing everything. So I would just say, educate yourself. There's a whole new side of how you think about money, how you think about life, and truly maximizing that. And money isn't the end all be all. It's not. It's a tool to maximize your life and the lives of others. So that's why it's really powerful. We're all looking for freedom. And I think the number one tool to that is education. And then, of course, using that education to turn it into assets.
Yeah, very, very powerful statement there. And I really resonate with that because you kind of sound exactly how I was growing up, and trying to bring your friends along and say, this is the way. And then they're competing their mindset thoughts with you and trying to, bring you back to their side and things like that. So it's very tough. And sometimes being an entrepreneur is, for many people, it's a very lonely endeavor, because it's not many of us, trying to pursue. But we try to do that by kind of outreaching and just continuously give, through podcasts and education to someone. At some point, someone finally, gets it, see the light, and then be able to kind of pursue it that way. So very cool, sir. I like that. Love your background. Can you kind of take us through a typical work day for you? And do you have any special morning routines?
Absolutely. I am like, shiny object syndrome is my disease. I'm telling you, if I do not keep myself on a schedule, I mean, there's no telling what I could get into on any particular day. And a lot of times it's being busy versus productive. I'm doing a lot of things, but are those key tasks, are those things that are going to generate revenue for my business? So I absolutely do have a morning routine. I mean, I have it sitting here in my journal right now. I mean, I even have the time that I wake up. What do I do after I wake up? I brush my teeth, I do my affirmations, and I read my goals. I think by reading my goals immediately first thing, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what's on my mind. What am I going to be doing today, and how can I push the ball forward, even if it's 1%? Because moving the ball forward 1% is still moving the ball forward. And I just want to encourage listeners that, it's not going to happen overnight. I'm still nowhere near, what some of the goals and what I would even consider a level of success for my life. So utilizing just that morning routine, it's wake up, do my meditation, do my prayers, get a workout in, and do some personal reading. Again, going back to that personal development, I got to get that in first thing, get my brain moving, and that way I can move into the core tasks for my day. And usually that it just comes in the form of, how am I generating leads? Whether it is through finding apartment buildings, getting direct to owner, or reaching out and getting prospects for people who want to invest in my business. Those are the two biggest things that I need to focus on in order to make sure that I'm going where I need to go, and my team is going to reach the goals that we intend and set out to reach.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. And as far as I know that you have your journal and then you kind of have your routine, is there any electronic or physical tools and resources that you use to kind of make a day more productive?
Absolutely. So I love writing things down. I mean, I take this pen with me in a notebook everywhere that I go. They're like my weapons. Like you don't go into battle without a weapon. Those are my weapons right now. So I love writing things down. There's always a time that I'm going to have an idea and I'll forget it if I don't immediately put it down on paper. But also keeping things neat and tidy. I just use the notes section on my phone. Nice. Even if it's just something that I just want to jot down and come back to later. But if we're talking more organizational, my team uses Monday.com, nice. Which is a great place for us to keep track of who's doing what. It has automatic follow-ups built in. If you haven't checked something as done, it will send you emails and you will be annoyed and you will get that task done. And then Trello as well. I love Trello because you can put different note sections down in different columns and kind of keep your thoughts organized that way.
Awesome. That's really good. And you had mentioned kind of part of your routine is you're doing your prayer, your meditation, and things like that. And another big thing that especially I adopt, and a lot of successful people as well, is gratitude. And then kind of just saying what you're most grateful for. Can you share with us what you're most grateful for?
Absolutely. I think people in general are what I'm grateful for. And more specifically, the people that I choose to surround myself with. I'm extremely grateful for the relationships that I've been able to cultivate over the last year and a half and where they've gotten me. I mean, people always talk about getting a mentor. People always talk about leveling up your circle, and there's a reason for that. Would not be where I am if it wasn't for the people that I intentionally seeked out and reached out to build those relationships, and of course, them giving back. There's so much give and take in this entrepreneurial world and the real estate world that, man, I'm so grateful, and I can't wait till I get the opportunity to give back on the level that so many people have poured into my life.
Very well said. Yeah, really appreciate that, sharing that. And then finally, we'll make sure to have all the information in the show notes so we can get in contact with you. But please share with us how we can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. On Instagram, I'm at Better Trevor. On Facebook, I'm at Trevor Brand. I actually just kicked off a YouTube channel called Invest with T West. And finally, my company's website is Hive CI. That's HY